So let's make it to the home stretch here. I'm a huge believer in doing sensitivity analysis. So we've got this set up. Link back to the assumptions. So we're going to create the best case. We're going to create the worst case. And we're going to create a break even. And then we're going to do a summary table. You might actually move this up to be the second sheet, but let's build each one. You'll see how easy it is. Once you get the base case set up the way you like it, then all you got to do is go to the base case, click on this little triangle up here, so you select everything, do Control C to copy, and you'll see the little ants running around. Go to the base case and just hit enter. And you're tied back to the assumptions. Remember, on the assumptions, C9 is the best case. So if we go back to the best case, the only place we have to change it is in B9. In B9, instead of the assumptions B9, so assumptions B9, we're in B9 in both places here, but assumptions B9, that's at 70%. If you go back to the assumptions, B9 is a 70%. We want C9 for the 90%. So just change that B to C and you're done. You now have your best case scenario. Wasn't that easy? There's nothing else you have to do but change this one cell from B9 to C9 and you're done. We'll do the exact same thing with the worst case scenario. Now you'll see why it's so important that you don't have a reference the base case one, or base case anywhere in here. And we took them all out. But that's something to watch for. If you're referencing the base case anywhere, it's going to mess up your best case. So you only want this file referencing the assumption page and itself. You don't want it actually saying best case or worst case. All right, we're going to take all of that, Control C, go to the worst case, hit enter. And then if we go back to the assumptions, you can see the worst case, the 50% is in column D. So if we go to the worst case and go over to this cell right here, and you'll see that we need to change that C to D, and we're done. There's our worst case scenario. You can see the net present value is still positive. However, the discounted payback goes over our limit of 4 years. I think 4 was the restriction. So it doesn't meet the requirement for payback, but it meets everything else. The last thing we'll do is we'll copy all of this, Control C. We'll go over and we'll hit enter and we'll do the break even. So for the break even, what you have to do on the break even is the one thing we're running scenarios on, which is this assumptions B, C, and D. We need to actually take this, whatever we're testing, and we want to put that on our break even page. So percentage converted, we want to put that here. I'm going to put 50%. Because that's what's in there right now. Let's give it a couple of decimal places. And so what we want to do here, instead of referencing assumptions D9, you want to highlight that and have it reference the percentage converted there. Nothing will change because that's what's there, but watch what we're going to do. We're wondering what percentage converted do we need such that the net present value is 0. So what we're going to do is do data. Let me make sure, I'll put this formula down below just so you can see it, just in case. So here, instead of referencing the assumptions page, we'll reference it for the 80,000. Remember, it's 80,000, but we want to reference this page for the percentage converted. All right, and so what we're going to do is we're going to be on that net present value. We're going to do data, what if analysis, goal seek, and what we're trying to do is get net present value, set cell C15 equal to 0 by changing the percent converted. Click OK, and it found it, and it's 48.78%. There's actually a formula that will do this for you. I've forgotten exactly how to put it in there. If I figure it out, I'll show you in class. I remember someone figured it out. There's a way to do that. But if not, every time you change something in the spreadsheet, you have to go back and rerun your break even. Now, this is the reason not to round things. You notice I didn't round any of these cells. They go out many, many, many decimal places. But if you use the round function, what will happen is the goal seek will not be able to find 0 because 0 doesn't exist because of rounding. It will never be exactly 0. So that's the best reason not to use the rounding function. Right, so the only thing we changed there was to reference something in the spreadsheet. You might highlight this so you can tell it's something important. That stands out on this page. If you want to, back on your assumptions, you can put the other cases in there. Best case, worst case, and break even. And then you can hyperlink those if you like. Not required, but you definitely can if you like. So that goes to the best case. This goes to the worst case. And this goes to the break even. All right, so if we go over to the break even, we've got everything. So the last thing we want to do is create a summary table. This is something you will probably copy and paste into your final analysis if that's a Word document. And so what we want to do is just set it up. What are our key statistics that we want to show? So net present value, internal rate of return, discounted payback. Oops, discounted payback. Let's make our columns, why don't we go column width, why don't we do 15 here? I think it will all fit. We want to pretty this up, bold, and center. And then so what we want to do is our base case. There's one more thing I want to add here, and I'll show it to you. Our best case, our worst case, and our break even. So the last thing, what we want in this table is what was it that we were testing on the sensitivity analysis. And it was the percent converted. And so let's make this column width 15 as well. Percent converted, bold. So if you want to use however you want to do it, make it look nice and professional. And then what we're going to do is actually just reference these. So the base case, net present value, we just go back to the base case and say equal. That brings in that. You want dollar signs there with not any decimal places. If you like, you can highlight the whole thing and do dollar signs without decimal places, so it changes everything at once. Your best case, go over to that. Click on that one. Go to your worst case. Click on that one. And your break even, you can go to it, but by definition, the break even will be 0. So you can just click on that one. Here's where you might actually round. So you might do equal round, comma, 0. And the reason you want to do that is it's possible there's a few pennies or something in there, and you just want it to show it as 0. The internal rate of return, same thing. Go back to your base case. Click on that. Go to your best case. Click on that. Go to your worst case. Click on that. And I would not do the internal rate of return on the break even because you know it's going to be your cost of capital. So if you go to break even, your internal rate of return is going to be 7%. Why? Because remember, your internal rate of return is what is that discount rate that gives you a net present value of 0. Well, we did a break even, so our net present value is 0. So our internal rate of return will be 7%. I just don't like to show it. So I'm actually going to black that cell out because it doesn't make sense. Same thing on the discounted payback. Our best case, our base case, our best case, our worst case. Same thing on the break even. Remember, on the discounted payback, it's just going to be 5 years because that's all we have. So we know that's not a number we want to show. Percent converted, we can go back to our assumptions and say for the base case it's 70%. For the best case, it's 90%. For the worst case, it's 50%. We have to get those off the assumption pages, except for break even. For break even, you have to actually go to the break even page and do it. So there, you might go out one decimal place here. It's up to you. It's up to you, whatever you think makes the most sense. You might put some highlighting in here. You might say, you know, if you want to do conditional formatting, so if the net present value is greater than 0, you can certainly say home key, conditional formatting, highlight cells. If they're greater than or equal to 0, make them green. If they're conditional formatting, if they're less than 0, make them red. There, they're all green. Same thing on IRR. Watch this on conditional. If they're greater than, and you can actually go over and find the weighted average cost of capital there. You want to make it green and say OK. And then conditional formatting. If it's less than, again, go back over and find that in the assumptions. There you want it to be red. They're all green. Home payback. Same thing, conditional formatting, highlight. If they're less than the 4, you want that to be green. But if they're greater than the assumption, there you want that to be red. So that's the only red we have on the page. Over here it doesn't matter. To break even, it doesn't matter. So you won't have highlighted on that. And then just clean it up. You can say cases here if you want to. Copy this over. What cases do you have? Give it a nice bold outline. So, you know, give it outline bold, whatever. Just make it look professional. Give it some lines here. You can put a bold. So so format cells. We want to have border, and we want to have left borders, or central borders. Probably want to have a nice thick line there, but whatever you do. So I don't need to show you how to do all of this, but you get the idea. You want it to look nice and professional. And so I'll just do one last one just so you can see the final product. And there's a table that summarizes everything. If you want to put it into your paper, you might add a column over here and add a row up here, just so you can see it and get a good copy of it to put into your paper. But that summarizes everything. You might move this to the very, very front. I think it makes sense. I mean, right after the overview, so before the assumptions, so you have a summary table. And in here, obviously, we can relink all of this, hyperlink to the base case, hyperlink to the best case, and so forth. And you'll see when you do this, at the very end, whoever comes into this spreadsheet, they're not going to have any doubts. They're going to know exactly what you're doing. You could even add more notes in here if you'd like. Now that I have the summary page up front, I'm going to do Control X and bring this down, and Control X and bring this up so it's in order. So you could have comments over here that says this spreadsheet does this, or this part of the spreadsheet does this. Remember, we might have some supporting sheets for the assumptions. You might have this. You might have a supporting sheet. Let's say you're doing gasoline and you went out to the Department of Labor and you pulled 50 years of the inflation for gasoline prices. And you have a sheet there that does justification for gasoline inflation. and you might have over here this sheet, blah, 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 blah. And you just put it in there, and then you have a link to it. And then that page is linked into your assumptions. So that whoever comes into this spreadsheet, and this is how I'll be assessing your Excel models. If I come in the spreadsheet, it should be exactly obvious what you're doing. What I don't like, sometimes I see assumption pages, and there's stuff just everywhere. There's like a bunch of stuff way over here, and then there's stuff down here, and it's not logical. So the way you want to assess this is a good way to get your whole team involved. If two people are really the main people working on the spreadsheet, have the other members of the team assess it for logic and cleanliness and organization. Can they get around it? Is it obvious? Or do they have to sit and look at a cell for 10 minutes to figure out what you did? If that's the case, then you're doing something wrong. So I hope that helps. You see how I'm going to be picky. Step back and think about what you're doing. Create really well done, logical, organized spreadsheets. I've had so many cases where I did a spreadsheet. I thought it was a one-time analysis, and then 4 months later they call me and say, Ron, can you update your spreadsheet? And I'm like, oh my word, what did I do? I might not even be able to find the spreadsheet. So I got into the habit of spending an extra 5 or 10 minutes, maybe even more than that. If you added up all the extra stuff we did, maybe it comes to 15 minutes. But boy, that could save me hours, months later, if someone asks a question about it. So hope that helps. This is probably the most involved of all of the financial applications. Some of them will be very, very quick 10-minute videos. But this one, 3 videos to help you see the logic of building an Excel analysis for a financial question.